The database has two main components, the survey instrument and the benchmarking and reporting tools. When you join the service, you are required to complete an annual survey. The survey is divided into sections. You will need to complete information about your foundation and the organization that you raise money for. You will also need to provide information about your fundraising expenses. We look for information about your direct human resources, your indirect human resources, and your non-labor or operational expenses. You will need to provide information about your fundraising performance or your revenue. We collect endowment and campaign information and your gifts received and expected. Other measures you will report are your constituency giving and some details about your major gifts, planned giving, annual fund, and events. You will also provide information about your program emphasis for that year. Let's take a close look at Section A. You will provide information about your most recently completed fiscal year. The survey is taking a look at a snapshot of what happened in 12 months, the resources you used, your expenses, in order to generate your fundraising revenue. We ask information about the hospital or healthcare institution you raise money for, the type, tertiary, teaching, long-term care, hospice, children's, community. We ask about the number of staff beds, the net operating revenue. We ask questions about the populations that you serve, the size, the geographic classification, the median age of the residents, and household income. We ask about demographic information, and we ask about your fundraising structure. Are you part of a system? Are you an independent foundation? Are you funded by your healthcare entity? You will need to provide information about your fundraising expenses. The fundraising expense information is used to calculate your metrics, your cost to raise $1 and your return on investment. Let's take a look at Section B. In Section B, we are collecting information about your direct fundraising staff. You will need to provide information about each of your FTE positions, the number of FTEs in the position, their combined tenure in the position, their combined compensation. You'll also need to provide the percent of time that they spend on each of your fundraising programs. We collect this information so that we can provide cost to raise $1 and return on investment information for your overall program, and then for each of your individual, for your annual giving, for your major giving, your planned giving. We collect this information for your direct and indirect human resources, as well as your overhead expenses. You will also need to report your fundraising revenue. We collect information about your endowment and your capital campaigns. In Section F, we are collecting information by fundraising program. It's very important that everyone answer the survey questions in Section F according to the definitions. This way, when you're running reports, you'll know that you are generating apples-to-apples comparisons. For the purposes of reporting and comparison data, you will know that major gifts is anything $10,000 and above, so that when you're running a report and comparing your major gifts program, you'll know that those major gifts are $10,000 and above. In Section F, we are collecting the number of gifts and the value of the gift received or expected for each of your programs. So we are collecting your cash and pledges. We collect for annual gifts, major gifts, corporate and foundation gifts, planned giving, government grants, special events, and any other fundraising gift sources. We also collect information about your constituency giving, your gifts by source, physicians, employees, auxiliaries, your individual donors, public support, business or corporate foundations. We do ask questions about gifts by your executive team and your boards. In Section H, we get into a little more detail on your fundraising programs. For your Major Gifts program, you will need to provide information about the number of prospects assigned to each of your designated officers, how many visits were made during the year, the number of proposals, and how many gifts were secured. We ask the same sort of questions for your planned giving activities. We also get into more detail on your annual fund. The number of mailings, acquisition mailings, renewal mailings, gift club solicitation, telemarketing, online or internet, the number of appeals, and the number of gifts in response to the appeal. We ask for more details on your special events. That provides you a quick overview of the survey instrument itself.